Hey people, Spectre here. Today, I'm going to touch on the basics on what to do when starting off your BRM5 experience. I'll be covering things such as what to do after logging in for the first time, the game modes that are available, how to actively play the game after spawning in, and then some recommendations on what to get once you've gotten the hang of the game. Feel free to use the timestamps to skip to the part that you need. Without further ado, let us begin. So here we have our test dummy, John Newgen. When starting the game, you will only have $1,500. This is fortunately no cause for concern, as most of the starting gear you will need are already available for free. The first thing we will do now is to head to the loadout menu to equip some of these items. Here, we can see the starting gear consisting of the M16A2, the M9 Beretta, and the M9 Bayonet. The M16A2 has excellent performance characteristics for the game mode that I recommend you start playing on, as it fires 5.56 out of a 20-inch barrel. To improve its range performance, we should equip the free AR-15 scope. You can also buy a suppressor and the requisite flash hider with your starting cash. However, this is optional, although it will make it harder for enemies to hear your gunshots at range. The next thing we're going to do is to equip some crucial gear to our character. We are first going to equip the starter night vision device to the starter helmet to be able to see in dark conditions better. As we will see later, the image quality isn't good, but it will have to do for now as it is free. If you want the starter helmet to match the starter outfit, you can buy the helmet cover, although it is optional. Finally, we'll be equipping a backpack so we can carry more ammo and healing supplies. I would highly recommend spending the $50 needed to recolor the starting backpack M81 Woodland or Ranger Green to better match your starting gear, as Vericam does not match with the rest of your outfit. Now that your character has been kitted out with all the starting gear, we can finally start playing the game. As you can see, there are 4 options on the main menu: Open World, Competitive, Missions, and Headquarters. Headquarters is a topic that is best saved for once you have gotten a decent amount of money, so we will skip that. As of right now, Missions only consist of the tutorial, so we can also skip that for now. Although I do recommend checking it out. Competitive is the PvP mode, and I would strongly recommend staying away from it for now. This is due to the fact that the M16A2's burst fire mode being suboptimal for PvP mode. Although, if you really want to play PvP, I would recommend starting off with 8v8. And finally, we have the bread and butter of BRM5, Open World. As of recording, there are currently only 2 options: Ronograd and Zombies. I would not recommend starting off in Zombies, although if you do insist on trying it out, I would strongly encourage you to get a suppressor on at least your M16A2, as the M9 cannot be suppressed. Now that we have gotten everything else out of the way, click Quick Play or the server browser to enter Ronograd. Welcome to Ronograd. This will be where you get your feet wet. Our goal here is to liberate all the locations from the hands of the RLF and the POD. Here we can see the map. The red flags represent compounds under enemy control, while green flags represent captured compounds. The squares are spawn points, which we'll be using right now to enter the FOB. Now the first thing you'll notice when spawning in is that the camera is in third person. To enter first person, simply use the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is also used to adjust the zoom level for optics with adjustable zoom. A very important thing to do is to enter a public squad by pressing tab. Being in a squad allows you and your teammates to see each other. Usually, the color red is the most popular. However, this may vary from server to server. The next thing we'll be doing is to head to the armory to grab some ammo and heals. Something important to note is that speed penalties will start applying once you go over 15 kilograms. Personally, reaching 16 kilograms is fine for normal rifleman loadouts, while reaching 18 kilograms should only be reserved for heavier loadouts such as machine gunners. 10 to 12 magazines should be enough for your primary weapon, though ideal mounts may vary between weapon type. You can also use ammo boxes to carry more ammo while being lighter, although you will have to repack your mags in the field. Personally, I would also ditch carrying any spare secondary mags to be able to carry other equipment. For healing supplies, carry a 50-50 mix of dressings and bandages. When healing, remember to apply the dressing first and then the bandages to recover more HP. That should do it for the equipment, so let's move on to compounds and how to get to them. To traverse the map, you can hop on your teammates' vehicles if they let you, or you can purchase the Jeep for $150. After doing this, I highly recommend that you go to Pushkino first, as it is the easiest compound. Depot is also a good option if Pushkino is not available. You can also go to any compound that your teammates are currently fighting in. However, do make sure that the compound is currently being raided instead of being stealthed, as any of your unsuppressed gunshots will most likely break stealth. While I'm driving over to Pushkino, let me explain to you some mechanics related to combat. First of all, changing fire modes is done by pressing V. I highly recommend sticking to tap firing in semi-auto for most cases, while burst and full auto should only be reserved for CQB. You can also press T to use alternate sights if the optic has that option available. Do keep in mind that you can combine your partially spent mags or ammo boxes to have a full magazine. Also remember that you can heal by accessing the tab menu, and remember to use dressings and then bandages. Remember that you can also drag teammates to safety, and that you should use the tab menu to heal and revive them. I would also like to note that you can run over people with vehicles, although it should only be used in emergency scenarios. Here we are at Pushkino. Now since it took me around 8 minutes to clear the compound, I'll be separating it into another video to save your time. You can find the gameplay footage in either the top right corner or in the description. Try clearing some compounds and getting a hang of the game so you can get some money and levels. With that being said, let's move on to some recommendations on what to get. The first thing to keep in mind is that there isn't really a meta in BRM5, or at the very least, it does not matter much. I would strongly recommend getting the guns and equipment that you enjoy, as I would say that the customization and variety of BRM5 is what sets it apart. Second of all, I would recommend trying out some of the more expensive items before buying them. Now I'm gonna tell you a little secret, but you can temporarily give yourself more money and levels by going to a private server. After that, you should enter RGE by pushing P. Now you can spawn in enemies and farm them until you get enough levels and cash to buy the items you want. Although do keep in mind that you will not be able to keep the cash, levels, and equipment once you exit. And lastly, I would recommend playing the game with some friends, as working together as a team is a much more fun experience than going solo. Now the first thing you might want to do is to install some upgrades on your M16A2. I would recommend grabbing a suppressor so that you can attempt stealth, and also a flashlight since your starter NVG is not good. Speaking of your NVG, I would also recommend grabbing the PVS-14 as soon as possible, since that is a significant upgrade. After that, you should work your way towards the PVS-31 Charlie and then grab the GPNVG-18 once you have enough cash. For your outfit, I would personally suggest grabbing the M9 bag, as it is the most efficient in terms of weight per slot. If you feel like you need more heals however, you can instead choose the 1476. I would also suggest that you fully utilize the character customization in BRM5, as it is one of its standout features. Moving back to weaponry, I would personally suggest any 5.56 gun with a barrel over 20 inch in length for open world. The C7A2 is a good option since it is fairly low level, while the AUG-A3 is even more versatile if you have the money to spare. Speaking of the AUG-A3, please for the love of God, use the AR mag options instead of the proprietary mag. Same goes for the AK-5. If you would like to play PvP, I would recommend grabbing the AK-74M for being the lowest level full auto option, or the M4A1 for its versatility and customization. For secondaries, I can recommend both of the Glocks and the P226, as they have suppressor and optics availability. The P320 also technically has both of these features, however, it is a P320. And that should do it for now. Hopefully, this video was informative enough and helped you with playing BRM5. And if you watched this whole video without ever playing the game, then what are you doing? Go try it out in the description below. In any case, have a good one, and I'll hopefully see you on the battlefield.